Hi, so it's come to my attention that people don't really understand why I, as a wheelchair user and disabled person, detest flying on an airplane and avoid it at all costs. So obviously, I thought I would explain it to you. As I'm filming this video, I am preparing to take a trip to New York to visit my extended family. I'm so fortunate to have the opportunity to fly. Being able to fly is a privilege, and I understand that. That being said, disabled people are treated so horribly when flying, it's baffling. Let me set the scene. I've arrived at the airport a full 2 hours early because I'm too anxious to wait at home any longer, and it takes me about 1,000,000 years to get through TSA in my wheelchair. After the TSA has swabbed my entire body and wheelchair for various drugs and residues, I am sent through the checkpoint, where I then have to wait patiently to be the first person boarded onto the plane, a full hour early. Now, this is the worst part of the entire experience, because this is when airline staff pry my wheelchair out of my desperate grasp and take it to do God knows what with it. I am not allowed to bring my incredibly valuable and precious piece of medical equipment that is literally the key to my independence onto the plane with me. Instead, I have to entrust the airline which I am flying to take my wheelchair from me, place it under the plane, and return it to me when I have landed, all without harming this incredibly delicate and fragile piece of equipment. Do you know how common it is for something to go terribly wrong during those 3 steps? Pretty dang common. According to the Washington Post, airlines have lost or damaged more than 15,000 wheelchairs since late 2018. That's on average 29 lost or damaged wheelchairs per day. That's 15,000 people whose independence and quality of life has been jeopardized by airlines and the lack of adequate training on how to handle wheelchairs. It's inhumane to make disabled people give up their chairs, sit through their entire flight wrecked with anxiety about the state of their equipment, when they land, there's no guarantee that their chairs will return to them unharmed. And you might think, oh, it's easy to get a wheelchair repaired. Well, you're wrong. Getting your wheelchair repaired, whether it's small, like getting new casters for your tires, or big, like replacing your entire motor, takes months to do. You have to get your chair evaluated, get your parts ordered. Hopefully they're not on back order, because that would suck and definitely happens. Then you have to find someone to install it that actually is trained to do so, all while dealing with the black hole that is insurance. This process is hard enough to do at home, but how would you go about it if you need your wheelchair fixed and you just landed in some random town you're vacationing in? Now, not only is this experience awful, but it's also physically painful. My disability affects everything about my body. My wheelchair is custom made to fit my specific body and my specific needs. For example, I have a metal rod attached to my spine. I cannot bend or curve my back at all. I am literally always straight as a rod. To accommodate the fact that my back cannot bend, the back of my wheelchair is also straight as a rod, so I can lean on it. During a flight, because I'm not allowed to stay in my wheelchair, I have to sit in a regular airplane seat. Every airline seat I've ever been on has a slightly curved back to make it more comfortable for the average person. Now, you might not notice this, but I do with the rod in my spine. The back of this seat is incredibly painful for me, because if I lean back, all of the weight of my body is pressed up against my head, since my back doesn't curve with the seat. So, in a few days, I'm going to be taking the 6-hour flight to New York. During this entire flight, not only will I be incredibly stressed out about the state of my wheelchair, I will also be in excruciating pain from my neck and my back. On top of this, I'm going to be dehydrated. I'm going to be dehydrated because I can't use an airplane bathroom. I can't walk, so I'm unable to get from the airplane seat to the not ADA accessible, ADA compliant airplane bathroom. So about 4 hours before I take any flight, I stop consuming any liquids because I can't risk the chance that I will need to use the restroom on the flight. I won't have a sip of water until I land in New York. I'll land in New York, desperate to see the state of my wheelchair, my body aching in soreness, not having a sip of water in almost 12 hours, all to wait in the airplane for a full other hour before my chair will even arrive at the gate. And after all that, my chair could show up and be broken. This is avoidable. Airlines have agreed that this entire process could change, allowing wheelchair users to stay in their wheelchair during a flight. Aircraft designs have been made to support this change, yet airlines do nothing. It's honestly madness. It has to change for the sake of the disabled community or the sake of my own personal well-being, because it's driving me nuts. I am terrified to fly because I have very valid concerns that someone is going to break my fucking wheelchair. One way you can support people experiencing this is tell your representatives to support the Air Carrier Amendments Act, which would increase the penalties that airlines experience for damaging and losing wheelchairs and increase airline accessibility overall. I've also placed a few petitions in the description that support wheelchair users being able to bring their wheelchairs onto planes. And most importantly, tell somebody about this issue. Don't let this problem go unnoticed. If it was your wheelchair and your independence, wouldn't you want people to know?